Hello and welcome to the Northland Artists Conversation. My name is Mark Kelly. I will be your wonderful host as we're gonna have a lot of fun. Normally in the chair is my co-host Andrew McKenzie. Andrew is currently behind the cameras at the moment. He's doing some producing, which is great. So he's doing a lot of hard work, which is super cool. Always glad to have him back on board. And a huge shout out once again to Rocky Steventon for holding the fort down for the last couple of months. It's been a really, really hard slog. So Rocky, sir, thank you very much. Do appreciate you. Sean McDonnell, what a dude. Super cool. You know, you meet some interesting people along the way, and one of the great things about the podcast is that everyone you meet has a different dynamic and a different energy. Sean's energy is very much about passion, and he speaks with such conviction about his art, which is amazing. And if you are lucky enough to watch the podcast, you're going to see some amazing artwork that he brought in, and it is super cool. It's it's real. It's beaches, it's sunsets, it's ocean. It's just gorgeous. It's I say it in the podcast. I really like that sort of stuff. For me, that's really important. Growing up in Gisborne, beach is just amazing. So, to see another artist come in with that sort of stuff was cool. You're talking about his career, his time at Elam School of Fine Arts, I think it is. That's either the second or third person. I'm pretty sure it's the third person that we've had on the podcast that has talked about Elam. So amazing to hear his time there, his journey through, discovering what he went through. It's, this is a really cool podcast. And I personally got a lot out of it. Such a cool guy. And another Bayleys Beach representative, which is so cool. A few weeks ago, Pete O'Neill, sorry Pete, had Pete on the podcast, and those two are neighbours. Classic, absolutely classic. Didn't know that when we booked Sean, just kind of happened. But absolutely amazing. So guys, I highly recommend either watching this or giving this a listen all the way through. Super cool. With that out of the way, let's sit down and have a conversation with Sean McDonnell. So Sean McDonnell, not McDonald. Thank you very much for coming in to the Five Elements Media Studio to sit down. This is cool.
It's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. What a cool space, and lovely to meet you. And
yeah,
I've seen some of your work, and really appreciate the opportunity.
That's awesome. First off, thank you very much for checking us out. We do appreciate it. It's always nice to engage with artists that have actually seen what we've done before as well, because it kind of makes the whole format a lot easier. You know what you're in for.
Yes.
And obviously you've got an association with a previous guest as well.
Yes.
And that is
Pete. So Pete O'Neill, the builder, the muso. He's done so many things. He's done a lot in his life, and he's my next door neighbour.
Yeah, how cool is that? So
it's wonderful.
You're out at Bayleys Beach, so to have two artists from Bayleys Beach with different disciplines who also live next door, I think is just, what are the odds of that happening?
Pretty slim.
Yeah.
Pretty slim. We've got across the road from us as well, there's a wood turner.
Wow.
Chris the wood turner, he owns him and his wonderful wife Jane, they own the Top 10 holiday park up in Trouncen Park.
Oh yes, I know the one. Yep.
And so they own that.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great space. It's a great space.
It is.
And you hear him the wood turning away. And just up the road, there's a ceramicist and DJ, Andy Wellham.
Yeah, so we were talking about him before, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about how this works is that we get artists and then they go, hey, I had a really cool time chatting with these guys, and you pass out the email, and then we kind of get in contact with people, and it's really cool. So it's for me, it's kind of awesome to have you in here because you paint a style of art that I particularly like.
Well, I appreciate that.
You do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I'm from Gisborne.
Gizzy. Oh, wonderful.
Gizzy boy heart.
What a place.
It is. So all of these paintings that you've brought in with beautiful sunsets and beaches and waves and all of that sort of stuff, that is right up my alley. I've got 2 of those in my bedroom. I've got a beautiful photo that a local photographer took out of Mangawhai. It's a sort of slim, really wide panoramic photo. I've got to get that framed. So
beautiful.
I love what you've brought in, and I think that's super cool. So
no, thank you. Yeah, so I use oil paints. So that's and on board. I like hardboard because I often use
canvas.
Not canvas because I found canvas to be quite difficult to store.
Right, yep, okay,
and
makes sense.
And these are really robust. They're very, very tough, and you can stack them. I can stack.
You lean a few against from each other with like something in between.
Yes, yeah, and also travelling. Yep. So I've got a camper van, I'll load them up in there and distribute them throughout, mostly around the North Island. I've got a few different galleries that I can put my work. Yep. And I find with canvas, it's beautiful to paint on because it has almost it has a quality that you can really feel its movement.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
These are quite bulletproof, and also I use an angle grinder. Not on this one, not on this particular one, but I'll get an angle grinder and carve back layers, and it'll show the layers of paint underneath. And if you did that with canvas, it falls apart.
Okay, so now I just want to check something. You mean like I can go to Bunnings and buy an angle grinder?
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting you to say angle grinder. That's unbelievably cool. Now, is that something that you sort of figured out yourself, or is it because you have a love of power tools?
A bit of both.
Okay.
A bit of both. I like the noise. I like making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And it's to get Pete back from, because he's my next door neighbour as a musician. He's making a lot of noise
on the guitar,
and I figure this way he knows I'm still next door.
Yeah.
No, I'm only joking.
That's hilarious.
That's not the main reason. When I was at art school, I my second year was in the printing department.
Okay. Yep.
And so I spent a lot of time making woodblock prints with I did some big, like size of a door. So I was doing some big prints.
Yep.
And I couldn't figure out a way of making the marks quick enough. Because with a wee cutter, it would take too long. And so So I got my angle grinder out, and that's how I made the marks for my woodblock prints.
Oh wow!
And then it just sort of grew from there, and it just seemed like a natural, because now I'm used to using it.
Yeah.
Because you've got to. I wouldn't recommend people to use it without gloves. Definitely
safety goggles,
earmuffs, and earmuffs every single time.
Yep.
And not jandals.
Definitely not jandals.
Steel caps.
Steel caps all the
Steel
way.
caps, even if you've got some trousers or something, because sometimes things flick off,
absolutely.
That kind of thing. Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun making a lot of noise, and then cutting angles and splashing paint on. This is quite a controlled piece.
Yes.
But yeah, I like to, in my studio at Bayleys, I do make a bit of mess, and great fun. There
we go. Well, look, health and safety tips brought to you by Sean McDonnell.
Thank you.
Let's go back. Let's go way back. Way back.
Okay.
You obviously you kind of grow up and you spend time. You have a lot of time in Auckland, and you moved there from, was it Wellington?
Moved there from Welly.
Welly.
Yeah. Pukerua Bay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in Auckland, and is Auckland where your sort of formative journey into art starts, or was it in Welly?
It started, I think, in Welly when I was about 5 or 6.
Okay. Yep.
And I just remember one of my earliest memories, it seemed very natural to draw.
Okay. Yep.
So pencil, usually lots and lots and lots of pencil drawings.
Yeah. Sure.
And I just found it, dare I say, effortless. It just seemed to be natural. It felt, I just understood it.
Yep.
Whereas maths, even today, I still have to get out the my phone. Luckily, I've got a pocket calculator now. Pretty handy.
Yeah.
Excel. Maths, science has never been. I just never really got used to it.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm sure I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But
push comes to shove, I'm sure a lot of people could do a lot of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so so it started then. It started in Welly. So I moved up from Wellington when I was about 7.
Okay.
With the family.
Yep.
And I remember one of my first Christmas presents getting a really nice art book given to me. So I was probably 7 or 8, and I suppose it grew from there. At school, it seemed to be really natural, making posters and painting. I think I picked up my first paintbrush when I was about 12. I think.
Wow. Okay.
And just started from there, trying to tame the beast of this of paint.
Yeah.
Because it's quite different to drawing.
Yep. Absolutely.
Mixing, blending, and because it's so it's viscous, it's got a mind of its own. And which I love. I love it how you can get drips and splashes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you can't get that with a chalk or pencil or charcoal, for
different
example.
Feeling. Different feeling. Charcoal's beautiful too. There's some amazing artists, Cathay Kolowitz, who does her the German artist. Looking at the Jewish concentration. I'm pretty sure she survived the Auschwitz.
Oh wow!
One of the concentration camps.
Yeah. Okay.
And her black lines are otherworldly. Yeah. Just powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful works. And looking at the German expressionists.
Yep.
That heavy line. So I suppose it grew from there when I was pretty young.
From and this is obviously still in we talk obviously talking intermediate, right? Intermediate, then through to sort of high school.
Yes.
Was art the release, the escape? What were your original inspirations? Like, if I was to say to 15-year-old Sean, what's your, where are you getting this from? What would he say?
Well, I think it was a way of communicating.
Okay.
So I was very, very fortunate at high school to have an amazing art teacher.
Yeah, that's always important, right?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Really, really supportive. And I actually went back and so Brenda Smith, that was her name.
Shout out to Brenda.
Shout out to Brenda. And I actually went back and worked there as a teacher because I'm a trained teacher. I've been teaching art for 18 years.
Oh wow! Okay.
And up until a year and a half ago.
Yep.
So I've stopped that now to focus on
your work,
my work, and tour guiding. That's my other.
That's the side hustle. There you go. That's what the young kids say nowadays.
That's what they're calling it.
Yeah,
and
two dudes in their 40s.
Yeah, that's it. But we still look like we're in our 30s. So
that's it. I'm going to go with mid to late 30s. You're definitely early to mid 30s for sure.
And she was an amazing, a really amazing person. And when I think of it, I'd never do the stuff that she did with us. With my students, like she used to take us, a group of 10, 15, 16-year-old boys to life drawing classes.
Oh, wow! Okay,
which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You probably couldn't even do that now. There's too much paperwork, pages and pages of paper.
Yeah.
So we would go. So as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, we had loads and loads of trip to Orewa from.
Oh right, yeah.
So I was near Takapuna. That's sort of where my school was.
Right.
And so here we were, jump on the minibus, and we were there. And initially, it's weird. I don't know if you've ever been to a life drawing class.
Yes, I have.
And the way that I find, if the model is relaxed, then it sets the tone and everyone's relaxed.
Absolutely.
And we were just fortunately the first person. No, but I was like, 16-year-old boys were all ready for a bit of a giggle. And it was totally natural. Yep. We were there, all focused, did the job, and then we did a load of sessions like that. And she actually put me on to some really good artists.
Oh, cool.
Quite a few New Zealand artists, Fa'u. We had John Poulet, a number of artists, Polynesian, and
very cool.
Who communicated their life and their stories through their artwork.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes,
that's amazing.
And so from there, I started telling stories through my artwork.
Awesome. So that journey, that's sort of the formative years. It's the teenage years, right? Obviously, where you've kind of ended up is different. The artwork you have, or the artwork we have displayed, is very peaceful, serene, tranquil, at one with nature. All of those things. Things that I very much relate to. Excuse me. That it's an interesting journey to go from where you were to where you are now. What were some of the other markers along the way?
I think some of the other markers were, for me, leaving Auckland.
Okay, yep.
Because I grew up there, quite rural. So it was a Takapuna at the time. It was still a bit of a beach community. I started surfing there when I was 12 or 13.
Nice.
We'd take the pushy.
Pushy.
Before you had to wear helmets.
Yes, I remember those days.
And with the surfboard under the arm and prayed for any onshore wind.
Yes, definitely.
So it was, totally terrible waves, messy, but we loved it, and so from there, I suppose I discovered my love of the ocean and nature.
Right. Okay.
And so for me, growing up, when I was probably 15, 16, 17, when I got hold of a car, when Dad bought, I've got two sisters, when they bought myself and my older sister a car, nearly every weekend I was gone.
Yeah.
So I was out of there up to Ahipara.
Oh wow!
Up there,
beautiful
like just
there.
About once a month up there. Had some, made some really good had a bunch of surfers. We were surfing hardcore basically all over Taranaki, all over the North Island mostly.
Yeah, nice.
And I thought from there, because I went to art school in Auckland, as my family was, I went to art school, but I wanted to get out and go get to nature as much as possible, whether it be Piha or, one of those West Coast places.
Yep.
And so I think when I did eventually get out and live at the beach, like where I am now, out at Bayleys, and just a bit of a Bayleys plug, if you haven't been there, anyone who's listening, if you haven't been to Bayleys Beach, come for a visit. What a place.
And the sort of the general store there does some really good food.
Lamb shanks.
I know.
Oof.
Amazing.
It's so good. For $20.
I know,
How do they make money? I've got no idea.
Lamb shanks, the is it half-pound steak for like $25? Just amazing. So good. Great value. Highly recommend. Yeah, because I was there on the weekend.
What did you have?
I didn't go there, but I drove past it and I was like, half-pound steak for $20. What the hell's going on there? That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, next time you're out, you stop and have a look at the gallery. Have a look at Kelly.
That's right. Yeah,
Kelly Street Gallery. Around the corner. But I think that's where my work has changed, because I suppose I'm just talking for myself, but I imagine it's the same for many creatives, that where your location really influences and affects the work that you make.
Sure. Yep.
And so for a long time, up until it's weird because I've been up north for a while, but only in the last 5 years I've been doing more sort of peaceful, really nature inspired works.
Yep.
Before that, I was doing a lot of works that were quite confrontational. And a lot of skulls. I suppose it's like you with your heavy metal music.
Yes. Yep. Well, we go through phases, right?
Well, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of skulls, and I had a lot of internal body part, like big hearts.
Okay.
And I was I think it's because I've very much been interested in the brevity of life.
Yes.
the beauty and the brevity of it, and I was just wondering, because we've all lost friends and relatives, and we unfortunately we will continue. That will happen.
Yep. More so as we get older as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just think, so I wanted to explore with my art what was the next, what was happening after we die, after what, is there another world, is there another what happens?
Yeah.
And about 5 years ago, I actually realized that why don't I explore life now, basically, because
Explore the present.
Explore, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years, making a lot more color and making works a lot happier.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me, it's about other people. That's how I feel. Yeah.
It's a really interesting transition to go from darkness into the complete opposite, where you're looking for light and joy and happiness and stuff like that, and a peace, those sorts of things. Was there one sort of defining moment? Like you've just said, you kind of made a choice, but was there a defining moment where you went, okay, so I'm going to stop doing the dark shit. I'm going to do the super happy stuff.
I think it happened over time.
Okay.
And also my storeroom started to fill up with a lot of works, a lot of paintings with skulls.
Right.
Skulls and bleeding hearts and cells. I was looking at like a lot of cell structures.
Okay.
As well, the inside our bodies.
Yeah.
And so it sort of started to dawn on me that these works aren't for the mass. I love them all. Each painting is like a child.
Yeah,
I suppose, there's a little piece. It's a little piece of me.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool too. They're like seeds.
Yeah.
You make it, and it's quite sad to see them go. Often, you have your favourite pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll paint maybe 12 paintings a year. So I do about one a month.
One a month, right.
So not a lot, because at the moment I'm not full-time. I'm only doing this at the moment part-time.
Right, yep. Well, you've got other interests that you've focused on as well, yeah.
But the goal is to do it, for full-time within a few years.
Yep.
And I just sort of thought, you know what, it's time to make people, I'd like to make people happier.
Yeah.
And put a little bit of sunshine on their wall that they can look at and feel good.
A little sunshine on a cloudy day. Maybe?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Love that one. Yeah, that's it.
Now this piece that you've brought in, which is huge. It's what, 700 by 700, give or take.
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a stab in the dark. This is Bayleys Beach.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's are we sort of looking at a sunset? I'm guessing
it's a sunset. This is so. Bayleys Beach, Rapiro Beach, is the longest in New Zealand. It's 108 kilometres long. So I've sort of there are some houses here, and this is the here it is here, the drive to go north. So up here I've actually painted it out, but Monganui Bluff. It's about 35 minutes.
Right, yep.
35 minutes, and that's an old volcano.
Is that like when you drive down to Bayleys Beach and you come to the part where you can go down, that's that part there?
That's that part there.
Wow.
So I live probably 50 metres from, this is the cliff top. I'm up on the cliff top.
Yes.
Looking down.
Yep.
And it's such a cool community. Most people know each other.
Yeah.
And so I took a photo and have worked from the photo to start with. And then I got rid of that and just sort of started letting each mark influence the next. Yeah, like Van Gogh, like I really like some of my favourite artists, Van Gogh. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but
sure.
But I love his work.
I don't think it's Van Gogh, but
I think it is. But anyway,
we digress.
Yeah,
now, how long does a piece like this take? Because this is, we've got a nice little small one down the front here, which is sunset, and it's got a lot of purples and some blues and a lot of dark hues, and then we've got the one behind you as well. How long would a big piece like this take?
So this is one of my medium pieces. So I do.
So this is a medium.
This is a medium size. Yeah.
Wow.
So usually I've got pieces about 3 times the size of this because it has more. I like quite large scale.
Great scope.
Yes.
Yeah.
So quite large, sort of 2 meters by a meter, and
wow.
So this would take. I'll be working on a series at any one time.
Right.
So it takes about 6 months.
Yep.
In a series. So I'll be working on about over 6 months.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'll like, oh, that yellow looks nice, and then I'll put these. I'll turn this upside down.
Yeah.
And work on a little bit upside down so it's balanced, and then move that around there. Yeah. So they're all just kind of like working off each other. Yeah.
Are they something that could be like a triptych, for example?
I have made those before.
Right,
three, where you've got 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But as they are, it's just a standalone piece.
Right. Okay. So if you were to exhibit this at, say, at Rayburn House, you'd have the collection of 6.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah. That's the idea. So I'd have that as one show.
Yeah. Right.
And they would hopefully go off and still each one on their own would represent the show as a whole.
Yeah, okay.
Because the other 5 or 6 that go with this are all different.
Right, okay.
To this, but it still has the same feeling.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you're obviously taking, colour palettes and migrating them across to different pieces. So they're all there's like an overarching sort of theme behind them. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. At the moment, and that's mostly Northland.
Right. Okay.
So up here and mostly in the north, Tane Mahuta. Yeah. So I've done a few paintings recently of him.
Yeah.
And also going into the bush at the Waipoa Forest, and taking photos.
Yeah. And
then working from those photos to create another series. I've done quite a few plein air paintings too, where I'll go down in my beach hack and set up my easel.
Yep.
And paint from life.
Wow.
And that's heaps of fun as well, especially when the tide's coming in and the sand's blowing, and it's all go. Yeah, especially out west.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty wild out there.
So you've been essentially, so in high school, you make a conscious choice and you go, I really want to be a full-time artist one day. And then, much like every other artist along the way, you go, man, art ain't paying the bills. And then you get to your age at the moment. I won't say your age. It's very respectable. It is less than mine.
45.
45. Yeah. It's 47 here, folks.
But some people say I still look 44.
There you go.
So
that's a win. Take whatever one you can get.
That's it.
And you're obviously at this point in your life now where you're ready to become a full-time artist. Now, I guess the question I have, and it was something I was sort of thinking about while you were talking about the time you spend doing these the pieces. How big a jump is it to go from someone who does it part-time or casually or for fun through to this is going to feed me and clothe me and pay my rent and my bills? How big a jump is that, and how do you make it?
Well, for a start, and I'm pretty sure this is the same with most creatives.
Yes.
I would say, for most creatives, if I was talking to a class of first year students at art school, I would say if you're in it for the money, you're not in the right business.
Right. Okay.
Because I suppose it's a bit like farming, where sometimes you might have a great season and you sell a bunch of stuff and you think, geez, this is absolutely fantastic, and then you have your off seasons as well. So for me personally, it's never been about the money.
Right. Okay.
But at the same time, you've got to pay the bills.
You do,
and you have to live. And so I think it's probably easiest if I just explain my journey.
I was going to say, what's your formula? Because obviously it's going to be a different mix for everyone. But what's your formula to helping you become a full-time artist?
So I think you can do it one of probably 3 ways.
Okay.
But I can only really explain 2.
That's okay.
Because that's the only 2 that I've really been thinking of.
Yeah.
And so the first way, and this is what some of my friends have done from art school, and as well, you don't need to go to art school.
Well, yeah, that's a really interesting thing. You studied at...
I studied in Auckland. I studied at Elam Fine School of Art.
Yes.
And do not regret it at all.
Yep.
The best 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
Wonderful. As a creative, meeting a whole bunch of other creatives for 4 years and just having a ball.
Yep.
Making splashing, going to loads of art gallery openings, going to 3 art gallery openings a week. And you can certainly see you go to your big named galleries, and you'll see the people who have got money.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes,
they've got the money, and you can sort of tell. And you've got the art students,
right? Yeah,
and you've got other people who have accidentally walked in off the street and quickly go, oh, geez, what am I doing here? And walk out again.
Yeah, it's too many zeros. I'm going to leave now.
And so, but the collectors, I feel as though they need the artists.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel, and vice versa. The artists need people to collect their artwork.
Absolutely,
otherwise, how are they going to pay their bills? Because art for me, it is a magical thing.
Yes.
And it's different for everyone. And there's something special about having an original piece of artwork on your wall.
Oh yeah.
As a collector yourself,
that's one right there.
As a collector, because it's not a photocopy,
nope.
And it's not something that's been mass produced, and there's not 1,000 copies just like it.
Yep.
Out
absolutely,
there.
Yeah.
And I think as well there are places for that. If you've got a high quality digital piece from a reputable artist and a dealer. Then that's got a place as well. I think
a print.
I think it's called a Geikley. It's like a high resolution.
Okay, right.
High resolution print that's numbered.
Like 1 of 200 or something.
1 of
like
200,
yeah,
or something like that. I think that has a place.
Yep.
And that's great and everything. For me personally, an original, something that's had the artists, the persons, and their time.
Yep.
There's something special in that too.
Definitely.
Something that you can see. So your piece up there, somebody has spent, I would say, probably 30 to 40 hours of their life, of their time, breathing on that and, working, turning materials that were actually, they meant nothing into something, created
definitely.
something is quite magical.
Yep.
So for me, the 2 journeys, I think there's 2 ways of doing it. You can go to art school.
Yes.
But you don't need to go to art school.
I have a question in regards to that, and we'll obviously get back to the 2 journeys. But I just want to touch on the art school. We've had painters and we've had writers of different sort of calibers. It's been interesting talking with them because the writers a couple of the writers we've had on, they've said as soon as you start putting words on paper, you're a writer. And we've also had a similar comment from a painter saying as soon as you put ink or paint or whatever onto something, you're an artist. Do you feel that philosophy sort of rings true? If you don't need to go to art school, if you just do it, you become what you set out to be. Whether you're successful or not is another story, but...
I feel as though, if you're going to pick up a paintbrush and do one painting and that's it, I don't know really if you can call yourself an artist. You've made some artwork.
Yes.
It's just like if I pick up a golf club and do one round of golf in my life.
Are you a professional golfer?
Am I a golfer?
Wow.
I've given it a go. I've tried it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's up to the individual to decide.
Okay.
And if they want to call themselves an artist, why the heck not? As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I think that the more art in the world, the better.
Yes. Couldn't agree more.
And so I think with people, going to art school is a great way to connect.
Yep.
and network and sort out your own style.
Right. Yep.
And have fun. Have fun, create, see what else is out there, and study art, because it's pretty weird and wacky. There's all sorts of. I mean, there's some artwork that sold recently for $180,000. It was a banana sellotape to a wall. And then another person came.
You're serious, though, right?
About a year ago, that came at $180,000.
For a banana.
There's an Italian sculptor who created an invisible work. You can Google this, invisible sculpture. This is a few years ago. Sold it for €18,000. Comes with an authentication,
yep.
and also how to display this invisible sculpture. Fascinating. The art world, it's amazing. You have all sorts. It's
okay. As someone who's not, I don't even know what to say. I guess that's not too dissimilar from Andy Warhol painting a can of soup.
That's it. Absolutely.
Art is subjective, right?
Well, that was his vehicle, his medium, to push his own ideas,
right?
Of popular culture, of popular art.
Yep.
And he made some pretty cool. Man, he was a machine. I think it was called The Factory, and they checked, and he had all his friends together, and they made movies, and they checked every day the newspaper to see if they'd been mentioned, and they weren't happy at all when they weren't in the newspaper, and that's part of the artwork too, is the popular culture.
Right. Okay.
Like Banksy.
Yep.
It's funny because he's always shunned the high art society.
Yes, he has.
And he's done, and it took time, and fair play to him, and he made work, and now, he's become, whether he likes it or not, part of high society, where his work sell, for millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But I think going back to the art school thing, I think there's a way, if you're passionate about art, and you're driven, and you're like a laser beam,
mm-hmm.
and you're not afraid to sacrifice potentially some nice holidays and having lots of money initially. Well, then I think the most important thing is to create. Keep creating, make lots of mistakes, make hundreds of paintings. Maybe of 100 of those paintings, 20 of them might be really good.
Yeah,
it's like an author, I suppose. As long as they're writing, as long as they're flowing, then they're going to make some bad stuff. Like a tennis person.
Yep,
they probably do. They
practice their serving for hours on end until they get perfect. Yeah.
How many thousands of times do they hit that over?
Yeah.
And I think in some ways that's the same thing with art as well. It's about evolving, creating. And so I do know there are a number of New Zealanders who have pushed themselves, especially with Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
If you're not afraid to market yourself, now is the time to do it. Instagram, thank goodness that came along. That's awesome, because you don't need a gallery. You can sell artwork. I know friends of mine, they sell artwork. That's what they do through Facebook, Instagram. See you later galleries. See you later, paying 50% commission.
Yeah.
I think there is a place for galleries as well, and they work hard.
They do,
and they pay lots of money for their overheads, and they have nurtured a whole bunch of New Zealand artists.
Yeah.
However, it's hard to get in. It's hard to get into some of those, and it might take 20 years or even longer to crack to crack the code.
Yep.
And that's awesome if you do that. But don't fret if you don't get into one of those galleries. If you're not chosen, choose yourself.
Yeah.
And just keep making and creating. So art school, I think it does have some sort of gives you a little bit of credence. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Well, so I went to drama school to study theatre.
Brilliant.
And what that allowed me to do is it allowed me to take risks with acting. It allowed me to be around other like-minded individuals and seeing them create and interpret their own characters. and there's a real sense of community involved because you're all there with a very singular focus. You're not going to shell out 40 grand to, eat ramen and drink beer and not attend class. You're going to be like, well, if I'm going to eat ramen and drink beer, I'm going to damn well go and do a shitload of art.
Yeah.
So for me, I found drama school really honed in the craft that I had, and I identify where I was trying to go.
So when was that? When were you?
1999, 2000.
Cool. Where was that? Where did you do it?
Hawke's Bay. Hastings EIT.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those skills, I mean, you're using the skills now.
I am.
Being, how to speak properly and
articulation. I can announce correctly. Yes.
It's wonderful.
You learn those things. Yeah. Would you say that it's that's one of the advantages of going to art school is that you're just around like-minded people and you can venture and try new things in different formats and styles and just shit you've never even thought of and go, man, you know what? One day I'm going to do an invisible sculpture and that shit's going to sell for thousands.
Well, where do you get your materials from? That's what I want to know, because if you go to an art shop and ask for some invisible sculpting materials, they'll probably see you coming and sell you something, and then you'll get home and realise that actually no, you didn't buy anything at all.
I'm pretty sure something about beans and a cow. I remember there being some kind of fable, but I digress.
Okay.
So path one is the route of art school.
I think art school, because it shakes you up. It challenges you, and also the other really good thing is because after the school, so a lot of students they'll go school C, year 11, year 12, year 13, and it's very tightly controlled. As a former art teacher, for 18 years of it, it's prescribed. It's a formula.
Right, okay.
And so if there's any year 13 students or listening, or anyone who's been through the school system, there is a formula to get the really good grades.
Right, okay.
And I've seen it myself, and you have to follow that size and that size, and then you've got to expand that, show that piece to get the great grades.
Right, okay.
And that is quite, I find that can be very restrictive.
Yep.
And so the great thing about when you then get to art school, they're like, chuck that stuff out. We're gonna paint with string. We're gonna paint with string. We're gonna paint with sand.
Okay.
We're going to here's a bucket of water. What can you can you create with this? So it's a way of expanding your mind.
Yeah.
Basically, and you don't have to then paint forever with buckets of water.
Yeah.
Especially in this heat, it might evaporate, and
I was going to say as we move into summer.
So art school is great to shake you up, and if you do that, and you'll probably enjoy it. 4 years, however, it is quite expensive. It's $10,000 a year. So that's why. So you're leaving at the end of year 4. You owe $40,000.
Yeah.
And what happens if people don't buy your work? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend. Do that and have a side hustle. Have a plan B. Have a plan B, not a just in case the art doesn't work out, but to help you get to the end goal.
Right. Okay.
And I think for me, so that's the way that I've sort of segue into my journey. So I left art school full of bravado, thinking, well,
everyone's just going to love me.
Everyone's going to love myself.
It's going to be amazing.
I'm the next Salvador Dali.
Wow.
But I could never.
You could never get that moustache. Yeah, it's a majestic moustache.
How he did that.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, what an amazing guy. But I left art school and went travelling again. I actually did halfway through. I did 2 years and then went over to Europe and America for a year.
Yep.
To check out lots of galleries. I broke it up and then came back and did my other 2 years at art school.
Right, okay, yeah.
And I thought, geez, man, I came out for... when I finished... It's hard. It's really however hard you think it is. Like times that by probably 5. Yeah. It's really hard. But if you've got the vision, it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how hard it is, because that's actually quite a good thing, because it means that for lots of other people they're going to stop.
Yeah.
And you just keep. I read somewhere that it's not it's only a failure if you stop.
Right. Okay.
So if you don't stop,
Yep.
then you haven't. You just keep on. So I thought, you know what? I quite like kids. I think they're all right. I'll become a teacher.
Okay.
And I thought I'll get my teacher's certificate in New Zealand.
Yes.
And then go travelling again and work overseas. But then realised that actually I had to do 2 years in New Zealand to become registered.
Right, to get the teacher's registration. Yep.
So then
yep.
I moved up north at Dargaville,
Mm-hmm.
got a job at Dargaville High School, and actually really enjoyed it.
Yep.
Teaching art. I mean, that's an avenue if you enjoy art because then you're surrounded by art. There's a lot of energy. You've got art books. The art books are right there.
Yep.
The teacher, heaps of fun. So you get to hang out with heaps of
Cool
fun.
resources as well.
Great resources, and you get 12 weeks off a year paid. 3 months a year you can make artwork.
Yep.
And so that's what I did for 18 years. But I suppose you know yourself when everything has a timeline, and
Yes.
And so I thought it was time for a change. Yeah.
Okay, and then you've only recently stopped teaching, haven't you?
About a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the end of last year?
At the end of last year, at the end of the last lockdown.
Right. Yes.
And then I've always done a little bit of tour guiding. So for the last 5 years, I do. So I drive a bus, and I've got a little Madonna microphone.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sit there on the bus going, and here are some beautiful places.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's some we got to point out some stuff if people are still awake on the back of the bus. Usually they are. Yeah.
Where do you do your tour guiding?
So I work for Moa Tours, and we go all over New Zealand, North Island, South Island. We go to Great Barrier Island. We go over to Stewart Island, and so that's one of the reasons why I stopped, so I could do this part time, the tour guiding, and focus more time on painting.
Okay.
Just to get a bit more balance.
And the tour guiding, is that what, sort of 4 or 5 months out of the year?
Yes, at the moment it's about 6 months.
Wow, okay.
Because there's a backlog, 2 year backlog.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
2 year backlog, and so after this season, I'm doing so many tours this season, but next season will be slightly less.
Right, okay.
And then eventually, in a few years,
get back to
it'll get down nice
be,
level, and so it's just a bit more balanced.
Right.
Yeah.
With the tour guiding with Moa, I've never actually talked to anyone about this, so I'm going to ask a ton of questions.
Please do. Yeah.
Is it you represent yourself and say, this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is my experience, and they go, sweet, we need you in Hawke's Bay, and then we need you in Greymouth, and then you're going to be in Taranaki. Do you kind of get just sent over everywhere, or do you go, we're gonna you seem like you've got quite a lot of knowledge in Art Deco, so we're going to send you down to Napier for 5 months. Is it sort of like that? How does it work?
I was there 4 days ago, Napier.
It's a beautiful place. Live there.
Wonderful,
stunning,
cool place with those the lightning bolts, and it's a bit of a mix. So at the moment, New Zealand, there is a huge shortage of tour guides.
And hospitality workers in general.
Hospitality.
Massive shortage.
If you aren't afraid to give something a go, you can do incredibly well.
Yeah.
And so basically, So I represent myself.
Okay.
And
you contract to Moa?
I contract to Moa.
Right.
So I'm a contractor.
Yep.
And then if they see that you can do the job properly, then they will. So I've got a tour coming up to Canterbury.
Wow, okay.
In a week and a half's time. Nice. And it's been years since I've actually done any tour guiding down there.
Yeah.
And so now I've got a little. I thought I had it with me. I had my tour notes.
Oh, right.
And so learning about all sorts of things on the area.
Yeah.
And if you're not afraid to give it a go, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Confidence in public speaking and stuff like that. So I'm guessing a prerequisite.
I think you would be fantastic. If you want, I can talk to the office on Monday.
I love my job.
Okay.
I really do.
We'll talk off air.
We will. I went a few years ago. I went and did the tour of Hobbiton.
Cool.
And you meet in Matamata, and then you get on the big green bus, and then they drive you out. And the tour guide out there was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant.
Super knowledgeable. And then when you get to the site, you get handed over to another tour guide, and they kind of take you around. And I was just like, man, this is really cool. But then I also thought, man, you must be absolutely shattered by the end of the day, because the energy you have to expel, because you can't be, so over here we have, God, this is where Bilbo lived. You can't be down.
Yes.
You've got to have a certain positive energy to it as well. So if you're having a shit day, you've kind of got to be able to compartmentalize that shit day and be like, hey, so over here we've got Bilbo's, we've got Bag End, and this is amazing.
Yeah. Well, we were always told at Teachers Training College, never cry in front of the students.
Right.
And I think it's the same with the tour guiding.
Okay.
You never... I'm joking. You'd never... If you are going to panic, it's like poker.
Right.
It's like poker. Yeah. You look at your hand. You've got a 2 and you've got a 7.
Yeah.
You're representing.
You're representing aces.
You got a couple of aces there.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the name of that mountain range? If you're about 70% sure you know the name of it, well then with confidence say what it is. And there's probably somebody who'll come and tell you later on, no, that's actually
wrong.
That's wrong. That's a different place.
Well, it was like when you arrived here. It's like, what's that big hill out the back of your place? It's Mount Mania. It's like, are you sure? It's like, no, I'm not. But I say it confidently.
That's it. So it's yeah, it's wonderful. It's and I've been what a cool place that is, and to have the local guides.
Yeah,
it's all about you get your adrenaline. You get your adrenaline hit, and I think going off and seeing the country, seeing these new places, it helps me because I take lots of photos. I have a little sketchbook, and I get little sketches as I go in my hotel room, that kind of thing, and then that gives me ideas for next. So I've already got another 20, 30 paintings in my head.
Lined up,
ready to go.
Yep.
Just the time. You know yourself, time is so precious, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It is. That's amazing, though, that you've... And, I guess, it would be a great opportunity for people that maybe haven't seen their own country to see their own country and be paid for it at the same time.
It's a dream job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a dream job, and but it is work.
Yeah.
You've got to don't leave any bags behind, don't leave anyone else behind.
Yeah. No partying excessively the night before.
Not at all.
Responsible sleep and
all that sort of stuff. Manage it. So it's and it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle choice because you're away from home for quite a long time. But if you love seeing the country, I'd definitely recommend it. Yeah, to anyone thinking about it. It's you don't know until you try it.
Northland Artists Conversation are incredibly proud to support the Quarry Arts Centre. Quarry Arts Centre, amazing place, located on Selwyn Ave in Whangarei. Such a wonderfully beautiful venue. They are an art gallery, and they have some amazing exhibitions, and they also hold Te Kōwhai Print Trust as well. Another really, really cool artistic endeavour that's done as well. They will have different exhibitions and shows of all different types of medium available as well, and they're such a long-standing venue in the community as well. Highly recommend you checking them out. Fantastic place. Really, really cool to take the kids and family as well. So, Northland Artists Conversation, proud to support the Quarry Arts Centre. Okay, so I guess the question leading out when you're kind of talking about the journey that you take, you've talked about one path, or did you cover both? You talk about art school and then your journey, which was art school, bit of travel, back to art school, job, and then do art on the side.
Job, your
backup career.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I always knew it was a safety net. So guaranteed money coming in, so it didn't actually matter if I sold work at all.
Right.
I think that is the dream.
Yeah.
Where you're comfortable enough, that you can have a show, an art show or two or three, and if nothing sells, no big deal.
Yeah, because you've still got that constant
you've
paycheck
still
coming
got, or you've already got a buffer.
Yep, sure.
You've got a good sized buffer, or you've got another couple of side hustles. And then what you do with your paintings, if you don't sell them then and there, it's not the end of the world. In fact, I sometimes see it's quite good. The world's just not quite ready for them yet.
Yep.
You store them. You have them, and they go up in value. And they will go up in value if you're still creating.
Yeah.
I think if you stop, and I think that's where a lot of people they kind of freak out. They'll have an art show and they won't sell anything and they'll quit.
Right.
Or they'll have two shows and I believe if you're driven, if you have to make work, well, it doesn't. I mean, you could have 100 art shows, and if nothing sells, well, that doesn't matter because you've still got your babies.
Yeah, you've still got all those pieces, right?
You've still got all your babies, you know. So I think having that vision is very important. I suppose it's like the acting. I imagine it's the same, where you might go for 30, 40, 50 auditions.
Yeah, very true, very true.
And get nothing.
Yeah, we've had a fantastic actor by the name of Alan Palmer on the podcast before. He started off in London, and he was sort of telling us about the graft and some of the big breaks that he's had. So yeah, I can definitely see that. I have a question for you, and it's primarily because you're in the right sort of medium. You and I are obviously about the same age. I'm slightly older, but we grew up in a time with no social media. Now, you kind of touched on that before with Facebook and Instagram. How important... this is really a two-parter. How important is it to be active on social media, and how do you become active if it's not something that you've ever really been used to in terms of the ability to sell yourself and the product you're creating?
Well, I think I'm going to talk about visual art.
Yep.
As a visual artist, but I suppose it could cross several mediums. If you're a sports person trying to get sponsorship, or if you're an author, poet, whatever your driven passion is, I believe that the more exposure, the better.
Okay.
Get you because I'm positive there are some amazing artworks out there that I haven't seen yet. Yeah. And the only way, and I'm not going to see it if it's in somebody's bedroom, and they're hoping that somebody's going to stumble across them someday and find this amazing piece. Yeah. I really believe each individual has to be proactive. Even if you are represented by a really good gallery, I'm not going to name any galleries because there's so many of them, and I don't want to leave any out.
They all do a wonderful job at what they do. They're very good at what they do.
Yes, they're amazing. Yeah, there's a really good one in town. I will say Megan Dickinson. She's really good in town. Yeah. I was just there before I came over here. Oh, true. Yeah. And wearing a raven mask, and did a little bit of live art in her little foyer there at the moment for the Fringe Festival.
Fringe Festival. Yeah, awesome.
So that was cool.
Yep.
That was cool. And she's actually, I'm putting some work into her. She's also curating a show over at, I think it's called 68 Gallery over in Dargaville.
Oh, right. Okay.
Beautiful new gallery over there with a whole bunch of really good artists that are taking part. So I think use everything at your disposal.
Right. Okay. Right.
As long as it's legal. Use your Instagram pre-self. Remember, it wasn't so long ago, and I really blow my students' minds when we remember it. I'm sure quite well. I mean, I remember when I heard the phone ring for the first time on a bus.
Yep.
And there were literally, I swear, half the bus actually turned.
Yeah.
It was a yuppie. Remember the yuppies? The yuppies?
Yeah.
Don't hear that too often.
No, you don't. I mean, Dad played mercantile cricket, which is where your you work for a business and you put together a small cricket team and you go and play cricket after hours and you have a few drinks afterwards.
Yeah.
One of the guys in Dad's mercantile team had a phone that, I shit you not, you had to carry.
Briefcase.
Yeah. And it had like the Indiana Jones satchel type thing.
Very cool.
And it had like if you wanted to make a call, you'd have to extend the aerial up and pull it out.
Yep.
And then you'd pick up the corded handset, and the keypad was not on the inside, but was on the outside, and you'd dial your number, and you could make your phone calls.
A brief
corded. Yeah.
I remember that too. It was like a briefcase, so that for those younger viewers, listeners,
for the ones that are in the earlier years.
What are they called? Are they the XYZ No, the millenniums.
Millennials. Yep.
Millennials. So it was a briefcase. It was a briefcase, and in the briefcase there was a cord.
Yes.
There was a cord. It was like a big battery connected to the cell phone.
That's it exactly.
And I think they're collector's items now, worth thousands.
They are.
And they were thousands when they first came out.
Yes, they were.
Thousands and thousands of dollars, because they were just so rare. Because nobody, why bother? Yeah. Why would you have a cell phone when you can get one? Home?
Yeah, just wait until you get home or get to the pub or anywhere.
What about the phone box? What's wrong with that? You've got a whole pocket full of coins.
Yeah, definitely.
Surely you can do. What about the policeman on the corner? You can ask them for directions.
Yeah.
The map.
Oh yeah, map books. The big fold-out ones as well that you get from like the service stations and stuff.
The big maps. Walking around, I still remember it well. I remember seeing people. You're not from town. When somebody's walking around. I like to blow people's minds occasionally now and just get out my world map.
Oh wow!
And walk around.
Yeah.
Obviously for a joke. Because it's not gonna.
But give you accurate directions.
But remember So I remember, and everyone was looking, to see what is this, what is going on, and now it's when the phone rings. Well, everybody thinks it's theirs. Everybody, thinks it's their own phone.
Yeah, they sort of go, is that me? Is it you?
But social media. Wow, it's revolutionised marketing.
Yes,
it is. I can't imagine what it would be like without it now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, quite often is where you get the spam or it's hacked.
Yeah, yeah.
And so people who have spent all their time and got the perfect photo, the one where they're sort of.
Or they take the 200 photos to get the one that they really like, and then they edit it. Yeah,
that's it. What happens if your account, you've got however many hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of followers, and then it's hacked and you've got to start again?
Yeah,
that's got to be totally disheartening. So
it would be. Yeah.
So I suppose it's just use it until you can't anymore. Yeah.
So I'm going to try and sort of guess as to what you're saying is essentially social media for you is another tool in the arsenal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it certainly helps you. So you've got, this is just a few. You've got Facebook is another really good one.
Yep.
For linking out and communicating, because that's why it was created, wasn't it? To link, to bring people together.
So was MySpace.
Not necessarily for pointing out if somebody hasn't picked up their dog's morning ablutions, which is important. You've got to do that.
Sure.
Because it's not nice.
No,
it's not nice. But at the same time, you don't want to open up a whole raft of people that complain as well. So yeah.
So for you. You have Facebook. You have Instagram, yes.
I've got Instagram.
Yep. Yes.
Am I allowed to tell people what it is?
Sure, go for gold.
So
we'll throw it up.
Cool.
Editor Andrew, we'll throw that up on the shot in front of you. So go for gold.
So I'm NZ.
Yes.
Painter.
NZ Painter.
NZ Painter. So N and then Z and then PAINTER.
Yep.
NZ Painter, and that's all. That would be great. You have a look. I've got heaps of stuff on there, and also my website. I've got a website.
Hit us with the website.
And that's www.
Yes, 3 dubs.
Dot. New Zealand, all spelt out.
Yep.
No spaces.
Yep.
New Zealand Painter.
Right, of course.
New Zealand Painter.
Yep.
.co.nz.
Wow, nice.
And there's a bunch of stuff there, and I think that's another tool. Another tool to show. There's because you use everything to your advantage, because it is so. You for me personally, I'm not in it for the money for making artwork. I'm in it for the creativity.
Yeah.
And to see what have I got that I to create. I'd love to see my next paintings. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what they're going to look like yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, people that watch and listen to the podcast, they, we do have a very small but loyal fan base. And, we do get some really cool comments from people that are like, never heard about this person before. Listening to this podcast was really insightful. And, man, I hadn't even thought of these sorts of things. So they're very, very cool. So I guess sort of the last section, if you will, for me is, what have you got coming up? Because everyone is always really excited to know where they can find their artists. And obviously you've talked about your Instagram and your website, but have you got anything coming up that's kind of cool that we should know about?
Well, I do. I've got a painting or two, and there's a show coming up recently in Dargaville.
Yes.
At the brand new, beautiful gallery. There's also a cafe there that does some really nice coffee.
Excellent.
And that's been curated by Megan Dickinson at Megan Dickinson Gallery. So that's coming up, I think, in a couple of weeks. It's going to be on.
Yep.
And that's on for, I think, 6 weeks.
Now that comes up in a couple of weeks, so that's going to be in November or end of October.
20-ish of, it's in about 2 weeks. Yeah, 24th of October.
So Labour weekend onwards type thing.
I think so,
Yep. And that's going to be going for 6 weeks,
about
right?
6 weeks.
Excellent. Okay, because your podcast will sort of line up with when it's going to be being exhibited.
Oh,
that's
cool.
really cool.
So there's and that's it. I think it's 68 Victoria Street. That's at the main drag going through Dargaville.
Yes.
Because it's not a big long.
Not really.
So through there, I've also got I've got my own little gallery in Dargaville. It's called Kelly Street Gallery.
Really?
I do. Yes. Yeah. So I finished building that with Pete. Pete
O'Neill
built it.
Pete the builder.
Pete the builder and
Yep.
Muso. Yeah. So he built it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you the struggles that we had from the Kaipara District Council.
I can imagine.
That's another podcast altogether.
I bet it is.
But we got there. We got there in the end.
Yeah.
And so I've got a little gallery there that I'm planning on just after Christmas, so the 27th of December until the 2nd of January.
Yep.
I'll show some of my new works because I'm always making new stuff.
Yep.
Every night I paint every night. It's my happy place. I put on podcasts and also audio. I've got audio books and all that sort of stuff.
Excellent.
I've got a little beer fridge, so I'll have a cheeky beer or maybe even a hot cup of tea or something.
Yeah.
And that's my happy place. I love it. So I've got that coming up. So if you're in Bayleys Beach, stop by. I'll make you a coffee. So that's coming up shortly.
It's interesting you say that you paint every night. And the reason I say it's interesting is author Stephen King says that writing for him is a discipline, and he has a special place in his house where he goes and he writes. And I think he writes, it's either like 4 pages or a chapter a day, but he commits himself to that discipline. Would you say that you're very disciplined that way, or are you like, do you wait for the muse to inspire you?
Well, I was told that for anything to become habit, you've got to do it 21 days in a row or more.
3 weeks to make a habit, 3 weeks to break a habit. Yep.
Whether that's going for a 10-minute walk in the mornings or whatever that is.
Yep.
So I think that's what's happened with me. Well, I'll go in even if I don't feel like painting. I'll still go in there and I'll tidy up the studio. I'll look what needs to be done. I'll move stuff around that, see if that works together.
Right. Yeah.
I'll just have a wee dabble. I'll have a wee dabble so that it's not a chore. So just getting used to it. Now the only thing is with my tour guiding, when I'm away staying all around the country, obviously I can't paint then.
Yeah.
And that's when I've got my wee sketchbook.
Yeah, and your photos for references and stuff as well.
All the photos. So that's when I do my sketches. So I'm still
creating.
It's really important, I think, to keep, because otherwise, I don't know about you as a creative person yourself, but I've never been a depressive person, but when I'm creating, even if I'm not happy with what I'm making at the time, it makes me happy.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I feel as though I've got some traction. I'm moving forwards.
Yeah. It's interesting you talk about discipline, and before when we were sort of waiting to do the next batch of filming, you've brought in some earlier stuff with you. Now we've obviously got all of the beautiful sunshine around us in the beaches, which are again my personal favourite, but in this little folder down front here we have something a little bit sneaky, don't we? Now this is from we're going to call this the Sean McDonnell, the dark period, and this is obviously I've got editor Andrew with me today, and we saw these and just like, wow, these are amazing. That's going to be right in the shot. Perfect. Talk us through what this is. Obviously it's a heart, but unlike anything I've seen, is this putting back pieces of a broken heart?
Well, I see these are actually a couple of things. These are from the leaf, the veins,
right?
Which I love the idea of. Apparently, with the Big Bang, 7 however many billions of years ago.
Yeah.
So our bodies are actually made up of that first explosion.
Sure.
We've got star particles in our bodies.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty trippy.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. And all of the atoms in our bodies will always be there.
Yep.
So we'll pass on, we will dissipate at some stage, hopefully not for another long time, 80, 90 years. I think we could do it. Still a bit of yoga in the morning.
Still a bit of yoga there.
A bit of yoga. And so in some ways, dare I say it, we do live forever.
Okay.
Because our atoms will go, and we've all been reconstituted at
one point or another.
We'll come together. And so that's why I put the heart is so important it's without your heart beating.
It's the engine, right?
It's the engine, So I just wanted to look at that, but have a play on the different parts that it has been in the past. So looking at the leaf and also the roads. So those are also little roads that our lives.
The paths we travel.
The paths that we travel, and I'm not too sure. I'm still working it out. I don't know if our lives have already been lived and we've just got to open that package, or if it is actually an open book. And we can choose our own way. I think we can choose our own destiny. But this here, so this is a wood block print, and so this has been cut out, and I then printed this. I printed this and then did another print on top to get the different colours.
I have to say, it's a very interesting contrast.
Yeah, cool. Well, these are actually so these ones here these are artist proofs. So these only the artists can actually can make these copies. So here you go. Mark, I've got a copy for you there.
No.
Yes, yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Stop it.
Go on. And
that's
Andrew,
amazing.
Andrew, here you go.
That is so cool.
Go on. Are you allowed to?
Oh, he'll grab it. He'll grab it. How cool is that?
Yeah, because I feel as though it's so nice, especially seeing that you're interested in art.
Yeah, definitely.
To share artwork.
Yeah, definitely.
Because art is so amazing. Yeah.
It's not gonna tip over. I want it to just sit quite nicely for the wide shot.
So that was from a series. So that's
Andrew, how does that look in the wide shot? Do I need to hold? I'm gonna need to hold it, aren't I? I'll hold it. But it's just so cool. I think this is amazing, and there it is in the close up for me.
So I made a series.
I've got to put it on that
side. I had a heart, I had a sunflower, I had a skull, 2 or 3 skulls. I had an old person's face mixed in with a young person's face.
Oh, nice.
So I had a bunch of prints together.
That's so cool. So cool.
Oh, cool.
Sean McDonnell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful gift. Thank you for coming in and sitting down and talking with me. And thank you for sharing your incredible story. I hope it is super inspiring for everyone that watches and listens. That, with a little bit of dedication, a little bit of focus, you can actually, you can do some amazing things. And I don't mean that just in the medium that you work in. I mean in art in general as a collective. It's really inspiring. And super cool that you do tour guiding. It's amazing. Yeah. It's so cool. Good for you. But thank you so much for coming in. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it too. And it's such a wonderful platform that you're providing, and also the podcast, giving people the opportunity to talk and bringing people together.
Yeah.
Because it mustn't be easy, but you do it so effortlessly.
Oh.
Yeah. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much. Very cool. Man, if you've made it through all the way to the very end and you're here with me now, I told you right at the start it was a cool podcast, and it was super cool. And Sean is just such a cool guy. I think I need to apologize. I'm not too sure. I think I may have called him Sean O'Connell or O'Donnell during the podcast in error. My editors will work that out and they'll tell me if I have. But if I have, Sean, I'm really, really sorry. But yes, definitely Sean McDonnell. Such a cool guy. And, when we get an artist coming in, I mentioned it quite a few times. We will go inside to my house and we'll sit down and we'll talk. And it just gives the artist an opportunity to kind of get a feel for how things are going to go throughout the night, and also to maybe get a little bit more relaxed if they're a bit anxious or not too sure how things are going to go. With Sean, bam, just straight away, super cool cat, super cool. And he's got some really cool stuff coming up as well, which he talks about sort of in the last third of the podcast as well. And getting to open his own studio, man, that's like every artist's dream, is to have their own studio. Well, there are some artists out there that it would be their worst nightmare. You know who you are. And I say that with great admiration and respect. But Sean he's got so much cool stuff going on. And tour guiding, who knew? How cool is that, though? Being a tour guide and just sort of driving around different parts of New Zealand with the headset and the microphone that sort of pops around front, and sort of being like, and here we have this lovely tree, and this is a beautiful river. But what a cool way to see New Zealand and get paid for it. So if it's something that you've never thought of, man, and to be honest with you, I'd never thought of it. Check it out. Great way to see countries. And, you can do that all around the world. So, I don't know. Career opportunities, proudly brought to you by Northland Artists Conversation. Speaking of that, where can you find the wonderful Northland Artists Conversation? Well, for our visuals, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all Northland Artists Conversation. And for audio podcasts, you can hear us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. All, again, Northland Artists Conversation. And if you're someone that's been following us for a wee while, or even if you're new, welcome. You can support us a little bit more by joining Patreon. Patreon is an opportunity for people to give a little bit more to the podcast, which is great. We have two tiers. We have our first tier, which is a cup of coffee. Now that's $5 a month. Really, really affordable, super affordable, cheaper than a Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu subscription. And then we've also got our second tier, which is a Coffee Addict. And that's $20 a month. And that gives you a few extra perks that you don't get on the $5 tier. Again, great value. We get these podcasts out weekly. Every Thursday, 7 o'clock, they come out. I think we've only had one so far, a few technical issues where we couldn't get it out, unfortunately. But, this will be podcast, I think, 18 or 19, and we're still going strong. Where can you support us on Patreon? You can go to www.patreon.com/Northland Artists Conversation, or just simply go to Google, type in Patreon, go there, and then in the top right-hand corner is the search bar, type Northland Artists Conversation, and you will find us. And I would like to give a huge shout-out to our first Patreon supporter, Lauren Roach. Lauren, thank you so much for being the OG supporter. Look, it really means a lot, and really appreciate you doing that, man. It's a huge help, and it just shows the love that people have for what we do. And Lauren was a guest as well, which is even cooler. So double whammy for us. It was super cool. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. It's been, this is the second podcast this week. We've got one more to film tomorrow night. That one will be interesting. That one's going to be a Halloween special. We're gonna line it up with as close to Halloween as we can, which is super cool. I'm definitely looking forward to that. So you're gonna have to stick around. Make sure you tune in. Make sure that you you like Northland Artists Conversation. You follow us on the socials, and if you are viewing us on YouTube, make sure like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment if you like. We try and get to all of them and answer them as well. And if you are listening through podcast, if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. Though doing those sort of little things really help the algorithm, and it helps bump us up a little bit more in terms of results and popping up in people's feeds. We really appreciate any support that any of you guys give us. It's really good. On that note, I will throw whoosh to the wide camera. My name is Mark Kelly. The empty chair still belongs to Andrew McKenzie, and will be his, and he'll come back one day stronger, new and improved. And he'll co-host with me again. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Northland Artists Conversation, and we will see you guys real soon.